welcome to currently our two audience members who've joined us this evening for the Upskill and Expand Your Knowledge session, which is in regards to Notre Dame University's postgraduate education degrees for teachers. This evening, we're lucky to be joined by four of our academics, including Professor Lawrence Stephenson, who's the Dean of the School of Education in Sydney, Associate Professor Shane Lavery from the School of Education Fremantle in WA, Dr. Linda Bellen from the who is the Early Childhood Coordinator at the School of Education Sydney, and Liz Mckenna, who's the Senior Lecturer for the IB Coordinator in the School of Education Sydney. I'm David, I'm the Director of the Prospective Students Office here in Sydney, so I'm here to help facilitate the session and also provide a bit of information at the end about how to apply. So without further formality, I might dive straight into the Why Choose Notre Dame University and welcome Lauren to say a few words about Notre Dame and education at Notre Dame.
Thank you, David, and thank you to all of you for joining us here tonight. Notre Dame prides itself in being a pastoral and caring and whole person focused university. We have some incredible results in terms of the Quilt survey, which is a survey that the federal government asks of students each year. And where we really rate is in terms of what you can see on the slide: learner engagement, skills development, student support, and teaching quality. We pride ourselves on being engaged with our students. We have so much to offer in terms of undergraduate, but tonight the focus is postgraduate and professional learning, because the point now is that we need to be engaging in professional learning, and how does that link into postgraduate studies and moving forward in terms of what we might be able to link into to support our colleagues and community in terms of moving forward. So yeah, that is something that's very, very important to us at Notre Dame. We have campuses in the inner city. We have experts in the field across research, teaching, learning and assessment. And we have a focus on progressing to how we may move forward in terms of future degree opportunities, which could be MPhils and PhDs, which we'll discuss later in this session. And all of us are, you know, I'm new to the school, so I've only been in the school 2 years, but what I've learned from the staff and the school and the university is how beautifully engaged everyone is in relation to pastoral care and support of the whole person, and the values of human values of human dignity, social justice, and support for how we can become better people in support of community. So Notre Dame, of course, we're going to say it's the bee's knees, but it is really a great university in so many ways. And one of the ways is that we are moving more and more towards flexible learning. We're engaging in what works for you as a person. We're looking at what we can do in terms of cross-campus components in Fremantle and Sydney. We're looking at how you can set yourself apart as an individual who's graduated from Notre Dame, and what is the value added, and many of the value addeds are that you will come away from Notre Dame as someone who feels resilient, embraced, a critical thinker. You've had many, many opportunities to apply the things that we engage in terms of our teaching and learning in courses, and our academics here will espouse that and tell us about that later in this discussion. But before I came to Notre Dame, I was jealous of Notre Dame and how cool it could be with its application of, you know, practical ways of helping students work in community, in service learning and community. And now I'm in it, and I'm very proud of that. And I'm putting it out there authentically, you know, which is what you do. And I think any questions you have around that, we would love to engage in.
Thanks, Lauren. And I might add as well at this point that if you do have any questions, feel free just to ask. We don't have a large audience, so it's, you know, it does give itself to sort of a conversational approach tonight. So please just, you know, unmute yourself and pipe up if you've got a question. And a great, in addition to what Lauren was saying around the programs we'll be presenting tonight, is we'll talk in more depth about the graduate certificates that are eligible under the Higher Education Relief Package as well. So we'll get onto that shortly.
Do you offer specialty areas in like the coursework and the different graduate courses that you can do?
In the postgrad space?
Yeah.
Jasmine?
Yeah.
Well, we have a grad cert in special needs, a grad cert in early childhood, a grad cert in IB, a grad cert now in leadership and management, if that's what you mean. Or are you looking at something else?
I was looking more at the masters. Is there a master's degree that you can do?
A master's in teaching?
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. David?
Yeah, certainly. So are you looking? Are you considering changing to a teaching career, or are you thinking of doing a master's in education because you're already a teacher?
I'm already a teacher, and I've had like 20 years experience, and I've wanted to do further study.
Oh, perfect. You're exactly who this presentation is for. We're going to get into we're going to talk probably, you know, about the graduate certs, but they all articulate into masters. So as we go through them, Shane and Liz and Linda are going to talk about the grad certs, but can mention how they articulate into diplomas and masters as well. And it's certainly a possibility to apply upfront for the full masters. There's a bit of a focus at the moment, I guess, in the industry around the grad certs because of the government funding for the grad certs.
Yeah.
But definitely the masters. So we'll talk about that shortly.
Okay.
So this slide here is, I can probably speak to the Broadway slide, Lauren, if you'd like me to, but the education school is located in Sydney at the Broadway campus, which is everyone would know is down at Chippendale, right between the University of Sydney and UTS. We're very close to Central Station, which is really makes it really easy to get to the campus. And we're also very close to, you know, Broadway Shopping Centre. It's a cafe and a shopping hub. It's a student hub, an international student hub. So it's a great place to be able to come after work if you're a postgrad student who's working to do some classes or even during the day. So it's a fantastic position to be in. We do have another campus in Sydney at Darlinghurst for nursing and medicine, but anyone in education wouldn't be involved at that campus. Anything additional to add to that, Lauren?
No, not at this point. I think we've got Broadway and Fremantle, and we'll let Shane talk to that further.
Yes, you know, here's the fantastic Fremantle slide with the campus in purple, which is fantastic.
Totally appropriate.
Yeah. Over to you, Shane.
Okay then. Well, what can I tell you? It's the campus has been run for about 30 years. As you can see, we take over a fair bit of the west end of Fremantle. The public transport and parking is reasonable. Public transport more for undergrad students. Most postgrad students who come and do face-to-face classes actually come and drive. The classes are normally taken in the heritage buildings, and I won't read what's on the side there. But of course, the most important thing is that Fremantle is the home of the Fremantle Dockers Football Club.
Oh, are you kidding? We've got the Sydney Swans.
You have indeed, and I feel so sorry for you.
Yeah.
Okay, moving right along.
East versus West.
East versus West. We're all one.
Thanks. Thank you for that. I have been to Fremantle. It's one of my favourite little enclaves in the country, I have to say.
Yeah,
It's
it's
great.
beautiful.
Yeah. Research by high degrees. I'll let Lauren speak to this one.
Yeah, so I've changed my background screensaver because I've got kids roaming around and dancing and beating each other up and all the things that COVID-19 brings to play. So I didn't want you to see all of that. So in the School of Education and the College of Education, which we are across Fremantle, Broome and Sydney, we offer a Masters of Education, a Masters of Philosophy in Education, a Doctor of Education, and then, of course, a Doctor of Philosophy, a PhD. And there are many avenues that, you know, anyone can take around this boulevard. You typically need a master's or a research focus in advance of doing a higher degree research qualification in the EdD PhD space, but again, that's by application. And you need a supervisor who can support you in what it is you want to study. I guess our areas of strength in at Notre Dame are around whatever it is you want to do. It's in the context of the Catholic intellectual tradition, social justice, and the objects of the university, which other universities may or may not be able to support. We may not be the bee's knees in terms of a particular research area, but we are brilliant in the context of the Catholic and religious space. We're also really good in terms of service learning and social justice. And I guess I'd like you, Shane, to jump in and tell us what you think in terms of your areas. You know, you've had expertise in this space far longer than I have, and what you think.
No, I think you've said it superbly. And the comment I'd make is that we have been running research, higher degree by research in Fremantle for a while now. And our focuses tend to be on mainly the specialisations, leadership and management, early childhood. We have an excellent early childhood team, religious education, of course, pedagogy. And at the present moment, you mentioned service learning. I'm working with a colleague, with a student who's undertaking a Doctor of Education in Service Learning. And yeah, so yes.
Can I say something about the Masters of Philosophy, Master of Philosophy?
Yes, please, Liz.
It may interest people to know that's a pathway to a PhD. In the Master of Philosophy Education, you do undertake courses that are generic, and then your thesis or your dissertation is about a certain topic of interest. So it's fairly free, especially Jasmine, I think you were interested in that you mightn't want to or be able to start PhD because you haven't got a master's, and the Master of Philosophy is that pathway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more interested in well-being and student welfare, that sort of focus, catering for different learning needs, all that sort of thing.
Yeah. So your research project could be about that, and then that would be your segue, if you want to make it bigger, into a PhD. Yeah.
Yeah.
We also have specific courses in those topics.
Yeah,
beautiful.
So Jasmine, what we're doing is we're moving, you know, as an organisation, as a university, into far more collaborative ways of working.
Right.
So there may be an opportunity for you to study X course in Sydney and, you know, 10,000 courses in Fremantle. And that's what we want. That's what we want. We want to be working together, and Shane and I and the team are working towards, you know, nationalising what we're doing. So there are many opportunities because of that, because we have significant strengths in terms of what Fremantle is already doing, and what Sydney wants to be doing and or is doing that Fremantle isn't, that we can share. And so So this is a really positive thing for us as a university. We're nationalising, and we're very, very happy about that.
Cool.
Lauren, can I ask a question about if you were to do one of your masters by coursework, do they include a research component that could facilitate or, you know, enable you to then go into the PhD as well?
No.
It would depend how you do it. We'd have to look at it on a case-by-case basis, David.
Okay.
But
Yep.
there are opportunities. It's just how deep someone would go into a coursework, because coursework can be limiting in the old school. Yep. But the new school is kind of like, well, if you're engaging in research and methods and you're demonstrating that you've got RPL in the space, then we would look into that. Shane, have you got a comment on that?
I can actually speak quite specifically to it.
Good.
The Applied Research Methods course is accepted as one of the coursework units in the Master of Philosophy. It is not accepted in the Doctor of Education at this stage.
Okay, all right. So you could go into the Master of Philosophy and then proceed from there.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, which is the pathway you would take, because as soon as you're, you know, traveling, your supervisors would say, right, you're ready to roll, and they encourage you to move into a PhD or an EdD.
Oh, okay.
Right, Shane?
Yeah, exactly. Most of our coursework master's students who then do a higher degree by research undertake the Doctor of Ed.
Right, okay.
Not exclusively, but most.
Great, thank you. That's great. So I'll just cover off my quick bit of administration on this slide as the PSO spokesman, is that if anyone here was interested in looking at one of the higher degrees by research, the first step you would take would be to reach out to a university expert, which would be available on the university directory for experts, to discuss your research plans. So with that underway, you'd then be able to submit your application online with your previous qualifications and transcripts, your initial research proposal, and English proficiency if you're an international student. And just on the right of the screen, there are some contact details for further inquiries around research. But I might move on now, because you've got a lot of fantastic grad certs to move through. To the first one, over to you, Shane. Thank you very much. And by the way, everyone, Lauren, I believe, might have to leave a bit early. So Lauren, if you do leave, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Very quickly.
Thanks, everyone. Feel free to contact me at any point. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you. If I could just highlight the entry requirements, because they're relevant for all the grad certs. You do need a 4-year trained qualification. And we really do push the 3 years of professional experience. And the reason for that is that it's value for your dollar, that you come to our grad certs with experience, and much of the teaching we do is almost adult ed in a sense, and you get an opportunity to share your lived experience. You know, we value what you can contribute. Okay, having said that, this grad cert is, if anything, I'd call it the most cherry picking of all our grad certs. That in terms of curriculum, if you look down through the courses available, you can see that you can pick courses within early childhood, special needs, leadership management, religious education. So really, for anybody who wants to do a grad cert in curriculum, you've almost got, quite a carte blanche, but you have got a lot of choices, and you can mix and match as you see necessary.
Next slide, Shane.
Next slide, please. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Unlike the previous grad cert, this is actually a teaching qualification. And as you can see, it's particularly for primary school teachers who wish to move into the early childhood area, or certainly within WA, principals like to employ teachers who into the, say, years 1, 2, and 3 who are early childhood trained. So, I mean, there's obviously a professional and reason for why you might do this. We also get another area of our clientele are people who are already early childhood trained, but wish to upskill. And you can see there are differences there. The This grad cert is the only 5-course grad cert that we have. And that 5th course, in fact, is the practicum, which of course, anybody who was already early childhood trained would not have to do. It's actually quite popular. Thank you.
Early childhood, is this Linda?
It
Yes,
is me.
Over to you, Linda. Thank you.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Yes, so we too have a graduate certificate in early childhood education here in Sydney. And yes, just building on what Shane said, again, it's really well suited to primary trained teachers who are looking to extend their qualifications to be able to be recognised as an early childhood teacher and, you know, seek employment in prior to school settings. It's designed, you know, to be completed, you know, as a 1-year part-time study, and it's quite flexible. You know, 3 of the courses are delivered as intensives and fit into our New South Wales school holiday periods. And the 4th course, which is the professional experience in early years settings, is one that, whilst it says, you know, you need to complete 60 days, if you have experience working in the kindergarten or year 1 or year 2 grades, then that may count towards reducing the number of days. And there's also the possibility of perhaps even undertaking this professional experience if you're currently working in a birth to 5 context or prior to school context as well. So it's, yes, it allows you to, you know, to be registered as a teacher with Notre here in New South Wales. Let's see what else. We've got, yeah, 3 very exciting courses as well, learning about planning, the planning cycle, how we do that in early childhood, how we create beautiful learning environments for young children, and gaining a deeper understanding of play-based pedagogies and also ethical leadership and management. And the next program commences in January 2021.
And we have a beautiful early childhood room that has an incredible store of loose parts, nappy changing tables.
Little
babies.
Yeah,
little babies.
Bring your children along.
It's a really
lovely.
It's a really unique environment to study in, I think, because it's unlike I guess a traditional tutorial room. You know, we have the colours of all the puzzles and the, you know, the beautiful, you know, various materials and the babies and all sorts of things. So it's really quite a stimulating environment, isn't it, Liz?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for that, Linda.
Pleasure.
I'll slide on to the next slide. I think we're back to Shane.
Terrific. The special needs program, well, clearly it's an advantage to undertake this grad cert as a professional qualification if you are interested in working in the area, the field of special needs. And I think if you look to the right, the course names speak for themselves in terms of the range and diversity of courses available to undertake in this program. The clientele are usually teachers in the field upskilling, those who wish to move into the field, people we do get also are teachers looking for a background in the field, wish to stay in mainstream teaching, but do wish to just get some knowledge about how to deal with children with special needs, particularly in this time of inclusion.
Thanks, Shane. And I'll just add that I probably should have said this a couple of slides ago. Many of these graduate certificates, if they're online, are eligible for the higher ed relief package fees. For example, this particular program, the indicative fee for the graduate certificate is $1,250, which is a significant reduction under the government's initiative for the relief package. This particular program did commence on Monday this week, but enrolments will be taken up until tomorrow. So if anyone online is interested in this program, reach out to us tomorrow. We'll get you signed up and enrolled so that you can, you know, embark upon this program.
Is there a flexible learning program, like timing wise, or is it just based on semester classes?
This particular program, I understand, is blocks of intensives. It's a bit of a hybrid sort of approach. So I think we can, while we can't be flexible in the sense of, you know, you take the course at your own pace and your own time, it is not run according to a normal semester program.
Right.
Yep.
Do you have
definitely
like study periods? Do you have
there are defined study periods for it. So there are defined intensives that you would follow with that. So
right.
Jasmine, we can reach out to you later if you want and provide you with some more information about that if you like.
Okay.
Yep, cool.
Sounds good.
Great. Thank you. I'll be in touch tomorrow with that then. Helen,
are you interested in that as well, the special needs? Helen Sheehy? Hi.
Helen, are you there?
Yes, hi everybody. Yes, I've just jumped on to have a look at what Notre Dame has to offer. Did my degree with Macquarie a few years ago, and I realise now that with my degree it was, because it was a few years ago, it was a 3-year training qualification then. Now it's 4 years, so I don't know if I'd qualify to start doing a special. I'm looking at doing special education in early childhood, but I with the flexibility as well, and do it online, possibly based in Sydney.
Yes, because the early childhood course in Sydney does not have, correct me if I'm wrong, Linda, does not have the 3 years in the as a profession. You can enter with the teaching qualification, whereas Fremantle has that 3 years. Linda? She maybe can't hear me.
Yeah, you're just breaking up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. We don't have the same requirements as Fremantle, in that you don't have to be out teaching for 3 years. You just need a teaching degree for the Sydney early childhood. So Helen, that
I've been teaching for more than 3 years, but with
I think Helen was saying that your qualification was equivalent to the 3-year degree.
It's a 3-year it's a bachelor of teaching 0 to 5.
Yeah.
Could I
yeah.
comment here? We actually have in Fremantle what's called a B.Ed conversion, where we cater for people who are only don't mean it quite the way I said that, who are only 3-year trained, and it gives you your 4th year.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
and
we sometimes say in one of the courses I taught in April intensive, I had a number of 4th year B.Ed conversions, all qualified teachers like yourself who were doing it. The person possibly, if I'm not sure if it happens in Sydney, but the person in Fremantle is Derek Hurrell, and we could get that information to you. And many of those courses are online.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to be. Fremantle's a long way away from Sydney.
Bit of a commute.
Oh yeah, a couple of thousand. Yeah.
I love Fremantle, but
yeah. But anyway, we do. I mean, look, you're totally right. You should pick and choose, but we do have a 4th year B.Ed conversion program because we've got a good number of teachers in the same situation in Perth.
Okay, that's good. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. I'll move on to the next slide.
Right. Well, clearly this is a course for those people who wish to move up the food chain. And it's obviously people looking at, say, positions like middle management, assistant principal, perhaps deputy principal, or even principal. And certainly when I first started teaching these courses, we had a good number of principals in them. And if there's ever a course where you really needed to have those 3 years of professional experience, this is it. And in fact, many of our people who go into these programs, into this particular course program, have more. And as you can see, there are a range of courses looking down the right-hand side. And if you like, there's almost 2 streams. There's what we call the Catholic Education West Australian stream. And you can see those in courses like Christian Formation and Education, Theories and Models of Leadership for Catholic Schools, Theology of Leadership, Leadership as Reflective Practice, Pastoral Care in the School, and there are others. And they meet Catholic Education Western Australian accreditation. But we also run programs, you can see, that are what we say were relevant to ASWA people or department people, instructional leadership, strategic management education, positive education, wellbeing in students, education law for teachers, which is a new course from Sydney, ethical leadership for today's organisation, building resilient teachers. And of course, you can mix and match this any way you like. And
Ooh, sorry, did I go forward too fast?
yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Yep.
I would say of our mini grad certs, this is the one that most people articulate into the masters.
Okay, Helen and Emma, this is a course that I think may interest you. Emma, we've heard from you before, we've emailed, so we'll just go through this. This is also under the HE relief package, which is very exciting. It's starting on July the 13th, and they are intensive courses during school holidays. So 3 of them are during school holidays and 1 is on some Saturdays, very flexible, and you're not synchronous, you're not face-to-face all the time online, you have time to do your assignments, you have support from me through a different medium, through Zoom. It's a varied delivery for the program. So the IB, the International Baccalaureate Curriculum Framework, it started in 1969 in Geneva, and now there are about, I think it's 5,000 schools throughout the world. So if you're thinking of traveling, you not only get your graduate certificate in IB education, you can also apply to the IB for an IB certificate of teaching and learning. That's sort of like a Willy Wonka golden ticket, because it's very attractive to schools in that they don't have to pay to send you on one of the compulsory workshops they're obliged to do for IB. Also, they're very interested in you because you know the meta language going into that first staff meeting, you know what they're talking about. So there's a primary years pathway and also diploma years. So diploma is year 11 and 12. You do 2 courses, Introduction to IB. We look at international education and the myths, and challenges and successes around that. Then applied pedagogy, looking at approaches to teaching and learning. And then the primary years and the diploma have an assessment and a curriculum component because they're quite specific in what they're talking about. And all this is based on inquiry pedagogy. So even if you weren't looking to teach in an IB school, this is good practice. Conceptual understandings for all, you know, your units of work, and inquiry teaching is what your syllabus says anyway. So this is really very much putting that into practice. You get to plan a unit of work and you get feedback from a mentor from an IB school as well. I was an IB teacher for 10 years. In Germany, and an IB coordinator and a workshop leader around the world. So we have lots of contacts if you ever wanted to travel and get work overseas. One of our students just graduated. She was employed immediately at Barker College, but she spent 1 week in Sweden in an international school where we have contacts just observing in the classroom. And so we have lots of places for you to go, Fiji, New Zealand, when you can travel. So by the time you do the course, you'll be ready to travel. Yeah, it's an exciting course. I love it. And I think it really enhances your teaching practice, and it's also an incredibly recognised curriculum framework with the IB around the world. Thanks,
Thanks
Dave.
very much, Liz. Any questions for Liz there?
Yes, hi, it's Emma here. I just wanted to check, Liz, are you able to tell me what the lengths of the intensive units are? Like, do they go for 8 weeks, 10 weeks?
1 week.
What's the sort of split with it?
1 week.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So if they were face-to-face, they would still be 1 week, but we would probably be 3 days face-to-face at the university and 2 days where you'd be in touch with me, but you'd be in the library or at home, etc. So it's 1 week, but we would have sometimes when you'd be online with me. With the group, we'd probably negotiate that time. It may be an evening, especially if some people have lost their casual employment and have had to go and get other work. So it's quite flexible, and everything would be recorded as well. So yeah, it's 1 week intensives, except for one of them's on some Saturdays.
Yeah, okay. And that's just a case that you just like Zoom or attend online?
Sure. We have a platform called Collaborate Ultra,
Yep.
and that is, you know, you just come online. We have chat rooms. I break you into groups, but also the Zoom would be a more personal chat, one-on-one chat. You might want to chat with your peers about your assignments. There's lots of times to collaborate.
Definitely. Okay, cool. And also just, are there, within the units, are there any like learning materials or textbooks provided, or is all the material sort of online?
Okay, that's a good question. There are no textbooks. However, when you are accepted into the course, you get access to the International Baccalaureate Resource Centre through your whole time in the course, and also for 2 years after the course.
Oh,
So
perfect.
that's all the scope and sequence, all the curriculum documents, everything that you need, as well as educators from around the world talking to each other and sharing their units of work, etc.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
I want to do the course now.
Yeah.
I think I want to do the
Great.
course. Just to add, I probably should have said this earlier as well, regarding that higher education relief package, the reduced fee, which is indicated there at $1,250, that is for completing the course online before December this year. So the government's current parameters for that reduced fee are within studying within 2020 online. If you did choose to do any of the programs we mentioned tonight part-time that are eligible for that special fee, you could do what you do in 2020 at the reduced rate, but anything you then went on to complete in 2021 would be at the normal fee. So
And
just
that's
to let
when we run it. Thanks, David. That's a really good clarification. That's when we run it. We start in January with introduction to IB, and then I think it's July school holiday, October, and then finish up. So it runs throughout the year in the school holidays next year as well.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. And it's even though it's the reduced fee there, you can still defer payment of that fee through the HEX Help Loan scheme as well, if you're eligible for that, being an Australian citizen, essentially. Thanks very much for that, Liz. Yep, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, just Emma again. Can I just clarify? So there isn't any capacity to actually complete the course prior to December?
Yes, you can complete it prior to December, absolutely.
Right. Okay. That's cool. Because yeah, it just kind of I guess my sort of 12-month sort of goal is because I returned to Australia to work. I was actually living in Singapore, and I returned to Australia to actually take on a teaching role. I'm now on reduced hours, but I thought this was a good opportunity to get the IB cert, because obviously there are a lot of international schools in Singapore that have the IB. So my sort of plan is to finish that and then hopefully pick up an actual position back in Singapore prior to moving back.
Yeah.
So that's good. Thank you.
That's okay. Also, you apply to the IB for their certificate, so you're getting the grad cert plus their certificate. That costs about $200 to $300, but that's not through us. That's through the IB. They register you and have you in their system. Okay.
Yeah. Well worth it, definitely.
Oh, it's worth much more than that.
Fantastic, thanks, Liz.
Oh.
Over to Shane again.
Okay, this is by far our most popular grad cert, mainly because of our very strong links with Catholic education in Western Australia. It is a little different from the other grad certs in the sense that it's got 2 compulsory courses, and you can see those on the right. It's this compulsory theology course, either Christology or Mystery of Christ 4, and there's a compulsory RE course, Critical Issues in RE, or Critical Issues in Catholic Schooling. So you have to do 2 compulsory, 1 theology and 1 of the critical issues, and then 2 further religious education courses. A lot of our people who do this are actually doing it to develop, if you like, an expertise in the field of teaching religious education or leadership in religious education.
Okay, thank you very much, Shane. Yeah.
Right. All our grad certs articulate, all specialised grad certs articulate into the specialised Master of Education. And in other words, if you do 4 courses, you do a grad cert in leadership management, those 4 courses all come into the Master of Ed. Our Master of Ed courses are 8 courses. 5 of them are specialised, so you will have done 4 of those specialisations, 1 further specialisation. Then there happens to be a theology or philosophy course, which is compulsory, a research course, which is compulsory, and there's an opportunity to do an elective. Many people do their elective in their specialisation, but it is not uncommon for people who say are doing a Master of Ed in, say, Leadership and Management to select a specific curriculum course, for instance. So there's a certain variety. And clearly, as the Master of Education is the second highest degree in the land, it's very popular. We have hundreds of students undertaking our Master of Education programs in Fremantle. You'll also notice the last one, there's a Master of Religious Education. That's a little different and again, quite specialised. And I think, and it has actually 4 compulsory courses in theology and religious education, and then some electives in religious education.
Thanks, Shane. And I understand that if you're going to enter the master's program directly, you need a GPA average from your undergrad?
Yes, please. And that's not trying to be nasty. It's just we don't want to take students on false pretenses and put them into positions where they can't cope.
Yep, sure. So one avenue would be, if you don't have that, to go through a grad cert.
Oh, yes. And we do, that's a really good point. I've interviewed people this year even who wanted to do a master's, and I've said no. And I've actually said, look, we're going to offer you the grad cert, and if you can prove yourself, we'll take you.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And as I said, this is really where we have our vast majority of postgrad students, coursework students in our master's program.
Fantastic. Thanks, Shane. That's a good point, that last one, that most students are in a master's. I guess we've sort of focused on the grad certs tonight because of the government's relief package that is out there at the moment. It's a big area of inquiry that we're getting. So just, please note, you can definitely apply to enter these programs directly through the master's. Yeah. So I think that brings us to the end of the academic component of the presentation. Just to quickly take you through the steps to apply, obviously you can apply to Notre Dame directly through our website. We have an online application form. I would encourage you to have your academic transcripts prepared in electronic format, ready to upload them to the form. It's a fairly easy form. It's not particularly long or arduous, and it asks you to upload your transcripts when you do that. We would then assess your application, and the admissions department would be in contact with you with an outcome within 2 to 4 weeks currently, hopefully closer to the 2 weeks, but we'd see how we're going. And then you would proceed, if you were happy with that offer, to accept the offer online at the moment, and then proceed to enroll online. So we have moved everything online, obviously, in the current environment to facilitate your studies, and that is providing you with a more streamlined experience as well. So the application form is easy to navigate to from our website as well. If you weren't ready to apply and you had more questions, please feel free to contact us.